New sweater, new poem. So, all right. This one is called The Divine is Happening Inside Your Lungs. No translation required. In the beginning, there was the Word, and I believed it. Because words look like architecture. They stand, they name, they make a world feel held. But I remember the first thing that moved over the face of the deep was not a sentence, it was breath. A hovering, a holy disturbance, a soft insistence that the void could be more than the void. God did not explain the darkness, God breathed. And I keep returning to that like a hand returning to a pulse, because I have watched words fail at the edge of a real falling, watched language arrive with its little lantern and still not light the room. Tell me the last time you were swallowed by pleasure, by anger that would not sit down, by joy that could not stay inside the body, by pain so wide it made your name feel small. When it happened, did you speak? Do you remember words? Or did your mouth do what mouths do when they meet the unsayable? Open, forget, become a doorway. We have been failed by words so many times that we confuse their collapse for our own. But we have also had our breath taken away, and we have been given breath, and neither of those experiences required vocabulary. Sometimes joy is only a sound before it is a meaning. Sometimes grief is only a rhythm. Sometimes love is only the space between two inhales, where everything you are is leaning forward without permission. I think of art as God made accessible, not smaller, not reduced, but carried into human hands like water carried in palms, trembling, spilling, still enough to live. Art is how the invisible agrees to be seen, how the divine becomes legible without being captured, a translation that does not betray. And then I think again of breath, the first language, that original music, that seamstress thread of God that stitched the deep into seamlessness. In her breath, I found myself nearer to the divine than I could ever say. Juniper's breath, wide and abound, not metaphorically, not poetically, actually. Because there are ways the body confesses what the mind cannot draft. Because there are ways the lungs pray without composing a prayer. Because there are ways the chest becomes a sanctuary simply by rising and falling, risking and falling, rising and falling, like faith that refuses to become merely theory. What if something in us can be carried without words? What if holiness is not only in what we say, but in what we release? I feel like poems by Joy right now. What if we were given minds so that we could think, yes, but also so that we could finally stop strangling ourselves on expectation? Stop asking our throats to hold oceans. Stop trying to make language do what it was never meant to do alone. What if we could interpret divinity and emotionality through the holiest of our expressions, through breath? A world where humans are stripped to their soul and we discover we are not naked, we are honest. We are not empty, we are listening. We are not broken, we are finally quiet enough to be real. We strain so hard over how to speak, how to not be misunderstood, how to not be too much, how to not be nothing. But breath does not negotiate, breath does not audition, breath does not ask permission to be true. Breath goes out before us and makes a way of waves. Breath arrives first, touches the air, and the air remembers we are alive. To not be bound by what has never been our main expression of anything we really feel. To be free. Free in a way a sigh is free. Free in the way laughter breaks open a room. Free in the way a scream allows emotions to come through. Free in the way tears tell the truth with no argument. To be two people breathing the same air and knowing I am not alone inside this life. To express fully, and wholly. To be the breath we come from. To be the breath we are born from. To be the smile we make when we do not know what to say. And still, somehow, that smile holds worlds within each tooth. To be the silence that is not absence but presence overflowing. To inhale prayers, to exhale prayers, to realize the prayer is not the wording but the surrender of air. To realize the most complete confession might be the body saying, again and again, I'm here, I am here, I am here. And maybe this is what the Word was trying to reach all along. Maybe the first order of existence was not language but communion, not explanation but closeness, not meaning as a cage but meaning as breath. Wow. Not because it is polished, but because this is human, because this is the mirror, because the divine does not always speak. Sometimes the divine moves. Sometimes the divine hovers. Sometimes the divine takes your breath and then returns it to you as if handing back your soul with gentleness. And you stand there with a mouth full of nothing and a chest full of everything. And you understand without needing to say it that you have been answered. Thank you.